All right, yep, Charlamagne the God.
Andrew Schultz.
We are the Brilliant Idiots. I was in the New York Daily News this week.
Hey.
I got a call, well, I actually got a tweet from somebody from the New York Daily News. Then we got on the phone, and they was like, we've been hearing your comments about Justin Bieber. Mm-hmm. Would you like to give us a comment? So it was a nice little write-up. They used my picture and everything.
Hot.
And it was funny because they had a picture of me, and then the headline was, look stupid. So it's highlighted, look stupid, but it's me actually saying white people look stupid with dreadlocks, but it's over my picture.
So it looks like you think you
It looks like I look stupid. But my take on the whole...
Cute, guys.
Listen, my whole take on the whole Justin Bieber thing, I don't care about appropriating culture. As long as the culture you appropriate, you make look good. White people look stupid with dreadlocks.
Currently.
Yes, 2016, they look dumb as fuck.
But...
Sorry.
In Braveheart, when Mel Gibson had them shits,
he looked stupid.
He was looking good.
No, he really didn't.
He was looking real good when he was swinging that axe.
That's why. He was distracted by his warrior ways. He still looks stupid.
Yo, put a skirt on a white man and some blue face paint? Those dreads look hot.
Look at it in context. It's the same thing. Hot. It's the same thing with Tarzan. Tarzan is the only white man to successfully rock dreadlocks.
What do you think Scottish people are? Scottish people are Tarzan for the prairies. That's what we are.
Look at the context.
Yes.
If you're in the wild, in the wilderness,
Scotland,
you're fighting, there's nothing else to do, your best friend is a monkey.
Scotland. Well, we are best friend is a sheep.
Well, Tarzan's best friend was a monkey.
Yeah.
All right? Some of Justin Bieber's best friends are monkeys too, according to some races.
You know what? I didn't say that at all. I just want to point that out that was Charlamagne the God that say that.
But I'm saying all of that to say, look at the context. Yes, you dreads would look good on a white man if you ain't took a shower in months.
Mm-hmm. What's this right here?
Chris is Googling a bunch of pictures of white people with dreads, and they all look stupid.
Fucking the momentum up.
Just admit it.
I was talking to Van yesterday. Van, shout out to Van from TMZ.
Trying to get Van a podcast, too. He bullshitting.
He really need one because he's great, and he had some interesting perspective about this shit. He said, he goes, dreads have been in every culture in history.
That's a fact.
And this people don't realize. Everybody, dreads are just you don't wash your hair. My brother, Greg Schultz, right, when he was going through a kind of rough, maybe depressing time in his life, just stopped showering and grew a dreadlock in the back of his head. Do you remember this, Greg?
Well, most white people who have dreadlocks
washing your hair.
Don't shower. No, seriously. When you talk about Mel Gibson and we talk about Tarzan, these are white people who didn't shower. You're proving my point.
If you don't shower,
your dreads could look
I don't want to put you on blast, but Greg, I don't want to put you on blast, but what's up, Greg? Talk to me. You did have a dreadlock, and I was like, Greg, you need to start combing your hair. And
it's not even that funny. I showered, but I just didn't really wash my hair, and I just got a dreadlock.
Okay, so but the point is, Greg has stick straight blonde hair, and he didn't wash his hair, and he grew a fucking dreadlock. Anybody can grow dreadlocks. This is not something specific to any culture. And Van made a great point. He's like, the dreadlock is like the bow and arrow. Native Americans don't own the bow and arrow. Everybody had a bow and arrow throughout history. Yeah, we just know bow and arrows from Native Americans because that's the latest movies we saw. We know dreadlocks from Caribbean people Rastafarian culture because that was the most popular in recent history to
And then down south took it.
And then down south took it. Listen, and now you got up north.
Go down south. And this was an issue I had, when I knew about, what dreadlocks meant to Rastafarians and shit. So when I used to start seeing all these brothers down south getting dreads, ask them why they got dreads. I don't know. They just like Bieber. They have no knowledge of why they want dreads. You know why they got dreads? Because they wanted to shake them in the club. Like, seriously. Motherfuckers was growing dreads down south to be able to shake them in the club. That was just the fly hairstyle at the moment. But they don't know anything about the history of dreadlocks.
They get dreads for the same reason that strippers get fake asses. But shake them in the club.
That is true, but let's be clear. Point. Even those guys down south, dreadlocks look better than white people with dreadlocks. Like, that's all it boils down to. The texture of black hair looks better. Justin Bieber looks fucking ridiculous.
So we're just going to shame someone? We're going to say that someone's culturally appropriating and stealing just because he doesn't look good in them?
I never said he was culturally appropriating. I just said he looked stupid.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm totally fine, but don't you have the right to look stupid?
Yes!
People are trying to take away his right to look stupid.
This is America. We have the freedom to look foolish. Yeah. And we have the right to tell you that you look motherfucking stupid.
And you know what it is? It's like, this is the same thing as those white people who criticize black people for having their pants sag real low. They're pull your pants up.
Yes,
you look dumb. Pull your pants up. Yeah, you look fucking dumb.
You look dumb as fuck.
Justin Bieber also looks dumb. But you know what? You have the right to wear your pants that fucking length.
You shouldn't. They should make it a law. And in some places, it is a law that you can't sag your
But my
pants.
point is, it's up to you. As long as your ass isn't sticking out. If your underwear's sticking out, that's fine. But you're allowed to dress that way. It's your fucking body. You can do what you want with it. As long as you're not showing nudity in public, I'm not the one to tell you. Now, look, I don't care. Here's my issue. Everybody's making this big issue about cultural appropriation. He's stealing culture, right? Did we forget that he just released an R&B album?
So he been culturally appropriating.
This is not new. Why is the dreads are your issue? Because you love that song. What? Love Yourself. Because you love that song. Sorry.
Justin Bieber has appropriated lesbian culture. Remember that goddamn bowl cut he had?
Sure.
He fucking, when last year at the MTV Music Awards, he had that little fucking swoop hanging out his shit, appropriating Elvis culture.
Elvis.
Like this motherfucker, that's what he does. Justin Bieber, by the way, does not know who the fuck he is, period.
Sure.
It ain't even about white, he wants to be black, anything. He just don't know who he is.
Sure.
A motherfucker that's having that many transitions all the time.
Yeah.
You really don't know who you are.
So maybe
Justin.
he doesn't know what he is, and maybe he's reinventing himself, whatever it is. My point is, who gives a fuck? Like, stop making this racial issue, this cultural issue, and stop acting like, for example, Chris Brown this same week got a new fucking haircut where he basically took the pompadour, which is a stereotypical...
That's a conch.
You call it a conch. I don't know, but it's a white haircut. This is culturally speaking white haircut. This is Elvis. This is even before Elvis.
Those were big in the era of Malcolm X too, though.
Yeah, but if you
the zoot suits and the
sure, but if you even go before that, go to the fucking 20s. Go to when white people were donning these haircuts. Watch an episode of Boardwalk Empire. That's everybody's haircut in it. I mean, this is shit. Go back to England in the fucking 1800s.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? So
Chris Brown should look good though.
But Chris Brown look amazing.
lie to you. Yeah.
So he look amazing in that shit. Ooh, the fade.
I can't hate on Chris Brown, but this goes back to my point.
Yeah.
I don't care if you appropriate culture. Just
look
culture
good.
you appropriate, make it look good. That's your duty. Like, that's what you should do. If you're going to appropriate somebody's culture, you're doing it because you think it's fly, right? So there's two things you shouldn't do. Don't mock it. Don't make fun of it. And if you're going to appropriate it, make it look good.
I mean, he thinks it looks good. I mean, again,
no, Justin Bieber ain't got no real friends.
But here, the perception is reality, like we said. But my point is, I think Chris Brown should be allowed to do it. I don't think there's any permission. Like, do you think? Just think about this. You know how boring the world would be without cultural appropriation? How shitty food would be without cultural appropriation? Do you realize that Italians wouldn't have pasta without cultural appropriation? They stole fucking noodles from the Chinese. Italian food wouldn't exist without cultural appropriation. So next time you sit down, you have some fucking linguine or some spaghetti bolognese or whatever it is, thank the Chinese, okay? And thank the world for cultural appropriation for that shit.
We have to change the definition. This is why I always say words mean something. Cultural appropriation to me is when somebody takes somebody's culture, they profit off it and don't give credit, or they make a mockery of it.
Okay.
I don't think what these people are doing is cultural appropriation. It's actually cultural appreciation.
That's what it is.
We appreciate.
Yes.
This guy, Justin Bieber appreciates how dreadlocks looks. He wants to rock them.
Exactly.
These guys appreciate other people's food, so they want to eat their food.
They want to eat their food.
They want to learn to cook
incorporate their food into their...
That's it.
Exactly.
I think that a lot of times we call it appropriation because we are used to people mocking cultures and ridiculing cultures and making fun of cultures. But that's not what these guys are doing.
Yeah.
Like blackface back in the day was absolutely cultural appropriation.
Well, it was mockery.
It was
Yeah,
mockery.
it was mockery. Not cultural appropriation, but mockery.
Well, what's the definition of appropriation? I think somewhere along the line, appropriation, people started using the word appropriation when it came to mockery.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the right definition of it.
Van made a good point also. He was talking about in America, there is a history of black people starting trends and then white people essentially taking over the trend and then getting credit for it. So there's maybe a sensitivity within black culture and black people about that. For example, rock and roll music started by black people in America. Now, if you say rock and roll, the thing that pops to your head is some white
automatically.
dude.
But Elvis was inspired by Chuck Berry.
Of course,
and
all
it's been
these
movies,
guys.
It's been the most simplest movies that have taught you that.
Chris is shaking his head. But whatever. Chris, he was inspired by black folks. They were doing rock and roll music. Who started
I know
rock and
Chuck
roll?
Berry because of Back to the Future.
Exactly.
So goddamn Marty,
down in Louisiana,
Marty was on that stage, and Chuck Berry's cousin got on that phone and said, "Chuck, this is your cousin. Remember that new sound you was looking for? Holy shit! That kind of fucking that kind of debunks the whole thing, though.
What?
Because Marty was white.
So Marty started rock and roll. But that was in
Marty
80s,
got it from Chuck.
Yeah.
Wow.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, Back to the Future wasn't real, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, exactly. That's not the real what really started rock and roll music. Is this a fake fucking movie? Anyway, but point is like I don't know what the fucking point that we're trying to make is.
The point is, who gives a fuck about culture? I don't care about cultural appropriation
As long as you're not mocking.
As long as you're not making a mockery or making it fun.
So, the sensitivity within the culture. So I think there's a sensitivity which is, oh shit, white dudes are rocking dreads. Is that going to become popular? And now white guys are going to get credit, or white people are going to get credit for making dreads popular and not us, right? I think there's also a sensitivity, which I've heard saw a lot of people tweeting about, which is, black people will do something and it's looked at as scary or negative. A white person does it and it's looked at as high fashion.
Justin Bieber looks scary as fuck.
Well, I wouldn't say he looks scary.
He looks scary as
I would argue the opposite.
Justin Bieber walking here right now, you know what I'm thinking?
What?
Meth addict. I'm like, this little skinny white boy is on meth.
Maybe.
Little Dylan Roof looking motherfucker.
Maybe.
About to shoot up a church.
Maybe.
Okay?
Look, I don't know. Maybe. My feeling is this shit is like, if, let's just say dreads are scary, let's just accept that theory, if you want to accept that theory. I mean, I don't really find them scary because I grew up around a lot of people who had dreads. But let's just say.
Depends
who they're on.
Dreads aren't scary when you're in Jamaica or when you're around some Caribbean people.
If you're in Flatbush, Brooklyn, dreads are scary.
If you're in Chicago.
Dreads are frightening.
And you see some dreads, you're like, whoa.
Yeah. You hear
Get
some
the fuck out of here.
If there's a drill beat in the background or some dreads, frightening. Now,
I'm out.
So, but here's the thing, right? How do we make things less scary? Right? How do we, quote unquote, normalize shit, right? When you see Justin Bieber's, right, and other harmless looking 5'5" white people out there rocking dreads, all of a sudden the stigma of Chicago dangerous killing that's associated with dreads changes.
Nah, never.
No, I'm telling you, this shit happens. And I'll tell you how I know for a fact this happens. Ripped jeans and that kind of shit was synonymous with punk rock music at one time. Right? Punk rock music were dangerous drug addicts who were literally thieves, doing heroin all over the fucking place, doing drugs. You couldn't trust them, rob your fucking family, etc. It had a horrible stigma, this types of clothes. Now, if you look at Chris Brown in that picture where he's appropriating that haircut, he's rocking ripped jeans. Every rapper now rocking ripped jeans. Every fucking kid on the street rocking ripped jeans. Ripped jeans have no stigma that's negative anymore because so many people have warned them that they're normalized.
It's not that easy, man.
What I'm saying is the same shit could happen to dreads if you just allow it to happen. Stop criticizing people who haven't. Let it just become another type of hairstyle, just like a baldy, just like a fade, just like a Caesar, just like a bowl cut, just like whatever.
But this is the thing, this is what people fail to realize. Dreads didn't become something that people thought was scary until recently, but it's not the dreads. It's just that when you are probably trying to fit a description. In Chicago, you know how many times a day they probably get a call, young black male with dreads, young black male with dreads. Mm-hmm. But before that, dreads was a spiritual thing. You saw dreads, you thought that they was from an island.
Who's more peaceful than Rastafarians?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But we don't see a lot of Rastafarians anymore at the front of the line, basically. Mm-hmm. The people that you see at the front of the line are the chief keefs of the motherfucking world.
So what you're saying is black people did ruin dreads?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's the truth. We did.
Said American black people ruined dreads. Is that what you said?
Yeah, pretty much. Like it was. They took
wow.
Dreads, they took dreads away from what the essence
from this peaceful, loving Rastafarian accepting culture.
Everybody I knew
and turned it into some gang shit.
Everybody I knew growing up who had dreads was into Bob Marley heavy, was into Rastafarian culture. My boy Conte, we go to his crib, everything Jamaicaned out. Everything.
Beautiful.
He got his weed, he was so big on the culture. My other homeboy, Reggie President, used to live by me. Same thing. He was big on the culture. Like, he was getting dreads for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't just, I just want to get dreads to get dreads.
Yeah.
He was getting dreads for a reason. A lot of these dudes down south, a lot of these dudes in the Midwest, they just started getting dreads to get dreads, and they started to fit a lot of the descriptions. And I think that's where that negative narrative of dreads came.
So here's my question.
For me, I don't think of, when I think dreads, when I dig deeper, I see the negative narrative. Initially, I'm the same way. Rastafarian, Bob Marley, spiritual people. That's what I think initially. And then I'm like, but I also grew up down south and I saw those wild motherfuckers shaking their dreads.
So when people from the south or people from Chicago, like black people, start getting dreads, are they cultural appropriating if they don't have any Caribbean roots or Jamaican roots?
For sure.
So here's my question. You say they are. I definitely agree they are because I think cultures are different regardless of race, right? But it seems to me that people feel like cultural appropriation only exists across racial lines when culture... How you figure?
That's absolutely not true.
Who has ever criticized a black dude for having dreads?
I'm saying I agree. That's not true. They do, because you could look at New York designer is from Brooklyn. You think he's not culturally appropriating down south music?
Absolutely. But why do you think black people never get criticized for cultural appropriation?
They do.
And only white people
They just don't use that term.
What do they say?
Because there's plenty of artists in New York who be like, that was the whole thing. Stop making all this down south sounding music. New York motherfuckers don't get crunk. New York motherfuckers don't. But Cameron said the record, when the fuck we start bouncing? Like, that was a big thing in New York. Motherfuckers in New York was mad that people in New York was adopting two things: the gang lifestyle from the West Coast and the down south sound in music. So they just didn't say cultural appropriation.
When white people do it, it's cultural appropriation. When black people do it, it's dick riding. When black people do it to black people, it's dick riding.
It's cultural appropriation.
It's referred to.
Yeah, but it's all the same.
It is all the same, but it's referred to as cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
But let's
because that's the thing you gotta understand too.
Yeah.
It's cultural appropriation.
That's what I'm telling
not
people.
Racial.
I've been telling people this shit. Culture has nothing to do with race.
Yes. Appropriation, not racial appropriation.
So that girl that was talking about the dreads in that video when she confronted the white dude in the school, she seems entitled to all black cultures. Like in the video, she's like, "You're stealing my culture," right? So maybe she's Jamaican. I'm not. You know what I'm talking about?
She said Egypt. She was like, "What you know about Egypt?" By the way,
well, he said Egypt.
Oh, he said Egypt.
Yeah.
Oh, because by the way, I'm sure it was white people in Egypt.
Of course.
With dreadlocks.
Of course. I mean, there was,
By the way.
everybody had, there was no fucking Head and Shoulders back then. Everybody had fucking dreadlocks, okay? There was no Pantene, Pro V, nothing. So,
is the Predator cultural appropriation?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Are those two white dudes from The Matrix cultural appropriation? You know those brothers where they had the dreads?
You're right.
Possibility.
Listen, my thing is this. Like I said, I will say this until I'm blue in the face. I don't care about people appropriating culture as long as you make the culture look good. But I do feel like you should have some history of whatever the culture is that
How
you're
about,
rocking.
sorry to interrupt, but how about, I don't care if you appropriate culture as long as you do it out of appreciation and love.
I'm with you on that, but if
You
somebody
might not look good.
Justin Bieber was backstage at the iHeart Awards.
Yeah.
He was talking to Big Sean. He was like, yo, it's just hair. That's when you piss off somebody who actually knows what the culture is. Like if I'm wearing a kilt, you from Scotland, right?
Yeah.
And I got a kilt on. You
Like Kanye.
Like, what the fuck are you doing with this kilt on? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's the fucking kilt.
Yeah.
Your pops or your uncles who we met in London might be like, no, it's not, motherfucker.
Sure.
It's not just a motherfucking kilt.
Sure.
What you mean?
Sure.
So you should know a little bit. So, because if you're showing appreciation, I want to be able to tell you why I appreciate what it is that your culture does.
At what point in time do you stop that?
Stop what?
What the fuck is going on? At what point in time do you stop that?
Stop what?
Do you go, at what point in time do you go, well, you know, we don't have to show appreciation to where we got this from?
I don't think you should ever stop doing it.
But Italians,
I really don't.
Italians aren't going to do that with pasta. Like if you go up to Italian right now and be like, yo, you guys took pasta from the Chinese, they're going to be like, get the fuck out of here.
I'm going to ride with the Italians on that one. I don't know. If I see a Chinese person arguing with Italian, I'm going to be like, get the fuck out of here. All right, and go. The Italians made pasta.
So what if so many white people get dreads that people start associating it with whiteness? And then people start going, what do you mean Jamaicans got dreads?
See, I just don't think, all right, we have this discussion all the time when it comes to hip hop. I think certain things, no matter who else does it, will always be synonymous with this. Like hip hop will never turn white. That's why I hate when these rappers like Macklemore have a hot year, Iggy have a hot year, and then all of a sudden J. Cole's making this song like white people done came and snatched the sound. Macklemore, Iggy Azalea. And then you still got to name Elvis. You only name 5 people. Elvis, Eminem, Macklemore, Iggy, Justin Timberlake. Macklemore and Iggy, God bless them, they're gone already. For the most part.
J. Cole just trying to capitalize on outrage. He's doing the same
That's what I'm
thing.
saying.
Yeah.
Like, why are we outraged? I told y'all when Ebola popped off, I said Ebola is white like white rappers in America. We have nothing to worry about. There's never going to be a time in the history of the world where people are looking back saying, holy shit, white people started hip hop. It's not happening.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. It's just impossible. It's too much data now. Things are documented too much. Like, it's not going to happen. So I feel the same way with dreads.
Would it be cool if we get to a point in time where we just go, Americans started hip hop?
Nah, I need that credit, bro.
But why?
You're the guy that's big on credit. Get a credit.
Yeah,
You think
but
Steve Jobs? You think Steve Jobs wants to be just motherfucker started the phones, the smartphones? No, nigga, Steve Jobs started that shit. Now fuck Bill Gates, he did his
Well,
version.
he didn't start that
Samsung
shit.
did it. Who started it?
I think
We don't even know. Steve Jobs.
the Palm Pilot, that tree or whatever, like that tree, whatever.
Whatever.
Some shit. Yeah.
Steve Jobs wants his fucking credit.
I guess everybody
You know what I'm
wants that
saying?
credit.
You
yeah.
give your people their credit. Like,
But then again, why do you want credit?
what you mean?
Like, okay, I'll give Steve Jobs his credit, but Steve Jobs isn't going, Armenian orphans started iPhones. All Armenian orphans deserve credit for iPhones. I'll give the people in New York that were part of that scene that started credit, but I should give some black dude that grew up in Alaska credit for hip-hop music when he had nothing to do with it?
By the way, Steve Jobs.
Why?
By the way, Steve Jobs is dead. If Steve Jobs was alive, he'd absolutely be accusing Samsung of cultural appropriation right now. All right, I started the smartphone shit. Everybody
tells me that Samsung actually makes it. Apple steals it and it makes it better.
Well, God bless Steve Jobs
for making it better.
Android, all of y'all.
But you get my point, though, right? It's like when it comes to credit, how wide do we cast the net of credit?
Just give credit what credit is due. Like, how hard is it? Like,
Listen
it's not
to question.
hard.
Listen to the question. How wide do we cast the net of credit? Because I'm from New York, right? New York started hip hop, right?
Okay, that's a fact.
So who's more responsible for hip hop? A black dude that grew up in Kansas or New York? Is it my culture that started it? Because I grew up here. I'm part of these streets that birthed this music. That's
what you get credit for.
But I don't get any credit. That black dude can look at me and go, "Hey, stop stealing my culture. My culture is rap music. Stop stealing." And I look at him like, "Hold up, what in Kansas? Where's the hip hop?"
Okay, well, if that's the case, white boys started basketball. That's a goddamn fact.
Or Native Americans or somebody. Or Canadians. I think Naismith was actually Canadian.
Well, he wasn't Negro.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
He wasn't Negro, so it's just like he started it, but some people took it further. And it's the same thing with New York hip hop. Yeah, they started it, but if it was just about New York hip hop, there'd be no hip hop right now. Let's be clear on that.
Sure.
Hip hop would have been a fad if people from other places didn't say, "Oh, I fuck with that shit," and put their own little twist to it. Down South music has kept the game alive.
Hey, that's why we need to embrace cultural appropriation. Because when other cultures embrace other cultures, things just get better.